Thank you, Ciarán, and welcome the opportunity to contribute to the debate this evening on this bill. As Deputy Healy has outlined, I think for most people living outside the major urban areas, a car as a mode of transport is an absolute essential, and it's not a luxury, and it's not something that people can afford to do without. Because we do know, any rural deputy will know in this House, that the public transport system is non-existent. You have to have a car if you want to go to work. You have to have a car if you want to allow your family to have any kind of social life and for day-to-day living. And I think that the changes that are proposed in this bill, while they are about reducing tax evasion, I think we need to look beyond the reasons why, or about the amount that can be raised, which is quite staggering when you look at, it's estimated that this bill will raise an extra 55 million euros in car tax in the country by removing the retrospective declaration provision. But I think it's important to look at why a lot of people are availing of this system, and it has been outlined that the amount of retrospective declarations has increased by 40% since 2008. And I think that's no coincidence when you see that the bank guarantee happened in 2008, leading into the bailout and the recession that we're all living through. And motorists who are availing of these retrospective declarations, very many of them, while there's no doubt that there's some people who have used it as a system of avoiding tax, very many of them are doing it because they simply can't afford to tax a car and to be able to keep that car on the road. And that is the situation. And so these people aren't immune from the rest of the recessionary impacts, immune from the rest of the tax increases, the cuts in income, cuts in wages, and the unemployment that's hitting across the country. And this will have a severe impact on people, and I believe, affect how people will be able to keep transport for themselves and their families, and will, in some instances, affect how people will be able to maintain themselves in jobs. And when you look at combine it with the increases that have taken place over the last two budgets in relation to car tax, it amounts to a very significant hit for people. And I think the increase, as I mentioned, in people retrospectively declaring combines with the increases in taxation that have taken place. So that's something that we need to be conscious of in this legislation, and I think we need to be conscious of the difficulties that people are going through. Even this is highlighted even more in reports in the media, where there was a huge increase last year in the number of people taxing cars for 3 months. And that simply is because they can't afford it to tax them for a year anymore, and they're making that decision, even though over the basis of a year it will cost them significantly more in car tax. And I think I would echo the calls that have been made by other deputies in this debate, that is something that the Minister should look at, and levelling out the cost differences between taxing a car for 3 months and taxing a car for 12 months. And I'm no doubt we'll hear that it's the extra administrative burden that is placed on the taxing authorities, that's why this is done. But I think there has to be some recognition of the fact that people simply can't afford to tax their cars for the 12-month period, and that's why the 3 months has increased so significantly over the last year. I think in the context of the bill recognising, I think it's interesting that the bill recognises and states specifically that the extra money raised will go to the local government fund. And I think it's a sad sign of the times that the government has to actually specifically say that in the bill to ensure that it does. But it's really a moot point, because the government has already provided to take 150 million out of the local government fund and back into the exchequer to service the national debt at the behest of the Troika. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's only a matter of moving it from car tax, local government fund, and back out again anyway, so it doesn't really make that much difference when the government can raise this funding that's so badly needed for local authorities to maintain our roads across the state, and use it for writing down debt. And really and truly, in terms of the amount of debt that's out there and the amount of debt, the national debt that we have to service, 150 million euro is not that significant in terms of writing down debt, but it certainly would be very significant in terms of grants and funds that could be provided for local authorities to continue and to maintain our roads. I would be concerned with in Section 7 of the bill where it provides for a fee for the off-road declaration. I know that fee is not going to be implemented now, straight away, but I think that's something that shouldn't be implemented at all, Minister, because if people are genuinely putting a vehicle off the road for a number of months, they shouldn't be charged for that luxury, particularly when the intention of the bill is to reduce the evasion, as you say, is taking place. If you're introducing a fee, it may actually encourage people to maybe to chance their arm and see can they get away with the invasion, get away with evading the tax in the first place. So I don't think we should be having a fee for it. I think that people should be able to, if they're putting a vehicle off the road, should be able to apply and have that declaration, put the declaration in without any cost to themselves. And I'd just like to say, very briefly, in relation to the removal of the car tax or the vehicle licensing from the local authorities as well. I think that's a retrograde step, and moving it into a single authority. It seems that we're centralising everything again and withdrawn from the local services and local access to services that we've enjoyed in the state for many years. And I think that this is another system. When you combine it with the abolition of the town councils and the withdrawal of services from local authorities and the establishment of Water Ireland and the Vehicle Licensing Authority, it's withdrawing services from local authorities and withdrawing services from the locally accessible for people. So I think for that reason it's a retrograde step. But I would call on the Minister not to introduce the fee outlined in Section 7 for the off-road declaration and as this bill moves through the House. Thank you.